Hey guys, it's your boy Corporal Stanley. I'm bringing you guys an Arc Raiders beginner's guide. And this is just tips I wish I knew when I started the game. The game has been out for about 3 months post-launch. Since then we've had Expedition, Cold Snap event, a new map, Stellamontis, and a bunch of other things. Arc Raiders is one of those games that feels simple at first, and then suddenly you're broke dead and wondering what just happened. This isn't a get good video, this is a foundational guide, how the game actually works, how progression really happens, and how to stop making the mistakes that cost new players everything. I'll break this down step by step, and in my opinion, you don't need cracked aim, you just need information. So player behavior and aggression-based matchmaking. This is probably one of the big ones to start off with. The game actually quietly tracks how you play the game and how you behave. Arc Raiders doesn't just match you by gear or level, it pays attention to how you behave. But the game watches. If you consistently push fights, chase shots, and engage players, the game assumes you won PvP. If you move slower, avoid fights, disengage, and extract consistently, the game treats you as a survival focused player. So you can load up, get your loadout, take a free loadout, jump in, do what you need to do. And if you're consistently fighting, the game will just load you in with a lot more aggressive people, which will shoot first, ask questions later. If you're trying to get the jump on someone, sneak up on them, that's okay. If that's what you want to do, by all means. So why the aggression-based matchmaking matters is new players who copy streamers get punished. You push fights before you understand sound, recoil, map flow, and suddenly every raid feels sweaty. So a mindset that I can kind of give to you guys to start off, a beginner mindset early on: survival is winning. You're not here to dominate, you're here to learn without going broke. So I personally think starting out, play the game slowly, get what you need to so that you can have some decent core resources to craft guns, get yourself some blueprints, and just try and focus on getting yourself sorted for those more PvP fights and stuff later on in the game. And I normally do that in trio lobbies where I'll load in with some friends, looking for some PvP to have a good time. And then if I'm looking to kind of just stash, get my stash or stockpile on some good resources to craft, you've got all of your general resources that you use to craft, rubber parts, plastic parts, metal parts, etc., simple gun parts, and then all of your blueprints. And if I can also give another piece of advice, if you're playing with some mates, you guys jump on every night and you go topside. If you grab a spare blueprint that you've already got, pop it to a mate, it really helps a lot. If not, you can also sell them because they sell for 5,000 a pop, so it can also help to get your stash up for expedition or anything like that. Another really good tip that I have for you guys is quests. Don't sleep on your quests. Your quests can actually give you a lot of good stuff. You can get blueprints that are really difficult to get in game. You can get key cards and some other really good stuff as well. You can get decked out weapons, and it just helps you out a lot going through the game. They can also help you out with some very large XP spikes, high tier crafting material. Quests are not optional content, they're how Arc Raiders wants you to progress. Large XP spikes, high tier crafting materials, unlocks that affect future raids, and yeah, some quests rewards skips hours of grinding. How beginners should run quests: get into a raid with one goal. If you complete it, extract. Greed kills more players than PvP does. So in Arc Raiders, you get red and yellow tier monuments. Yellow tier monuments are kind of medium loot. and red is very high tier loot. So if a quest is sending you somewhere dangerous, it's for good reason. The reward is very high. Map location and modifiers. Before you even deploy, the map is already telling you how dangerous the raid will be or which areas are more dangerous than others. So high tier loot, high tier monuments normally mean better loot. Low tier zones are perfect for learning movement, looting routes, and sound. Modifiers increase chaos. More machines, environmental hazards, higher player traffic. Modifiers don't mean don't go, they just mean adjust your pace. Arriving late to hot zones is often safer than arriving earlier because teams normally who get there first are going to fight another team, and the team that third parties is normally the team that will come out on top. But that also doesn't mean that high tier zones are the only zones where you can get good loot. I mean, I've been to the Ruby Residence and Pale Apartments, and I got a Snaphook blueprint. I had got a Patina blueprint as well. I know that's a very common blueprint, but you know, it's still a high tier blueprint to get from a zone that's not even marked as high tier loot. So the next thing I want to talk about is augments, safe pockets, and free loadouts. So if you load into a map, you can go with a free loadout. A free loadout will give you a light shield, a gun, some ammo, and some heals, maybe a grenade or two. This really helps because it's a low risk, high reward type strategy. You can load in with a free loadout and you can go through the map. The only thing with a free loadout is you won't get a safe pocket. So if you're in very PvE or friendly lobbies, you can load in without an augment and you'll still get a safe pocket, but the moment you put a free loadout augment in, you will no longer have a safe pocket. What you can also do is you can load straight in and extract straight away. You can come back to Lance, and Lance will actually give you a green augment to trade in for your free augment. I find this to be very helpful because a looting MK1 gives you a safe pocket and a decent amount of loot space and carry weight. Free loadouts exist so you can learn without fear how to use free loadouts correctly, use them for quests, learning loot routes, and scouting dangerous areas and learning the map so that you can traverse the map a lot easier, know more spots where you can get cover, and just get to know the game better. Veteran players use free kits consistently. They're not just for beginners. You can load in with a free kit, kill some people, or kill some arc, get looted up, and you can snowball with a free loadout from there. So the nice thing with a safe pocket is if you do pop something in the safe pocket and you do die, that item will at least still be safe. You'll be able to go back to Speranza with it. If you have a high tier augment, the safe pockets increase depending on which augment you use. So yeah, it just depends on what gear you have at the time. Some nice tips I have for healing. Healing in Arc Raiders is very tricky. It's not like Apex Legends where your shield is essentially a second health bar. So what I like to tell new players or starting players is to heal with a bandage or heal the white health bar first and then do your shield afterwards, because a shield doesn't mitigate damage altogether. It just reduces damage by a certain multiplier. So if you look, a blue shield has a charge of 70 and it reduces 42.5% of incoming damage, where a light shield will only reduce 40% but only has a charge of 40. So a normal shield recharger will recharge a light shield completely with one shot, whereas with the medium shield you'll need at least two. And another tip that I have is if you have herbal or sterilized bandages and a Vita shot, it's a sneaky way to reset back to full health. You can use a herbal bandage and a Vita shot straight after each other. So you use the herbal bandage first because that heals over a duration of 10 seconds. So while that is busy healing and restoring health over time, you use the Vita shot, which will instantly make your health go to full. And same with your shield. If you're using a medium shield, you can use the shield recharger first because it charges your shield over time, and then the surge shield charger will give you that burst of a 50 shield charge. It will overheal if you're using a blue shield, but if you're using a heavy shield, it will charge your shields back to full in a very short duration of time, so you can reset and get back into that fight ASAP. So some stash management. I'll put some cheat sheets on the screen for you now. What you can do with stash management, I generally don't keep augments unless they're higher tier augments, because these augments are quite cheap to craft. As you can see over here, it's electrical components and magnets. You can craft these quite readily, especially when you move later on into the game. So I generally just try and stockpile on your raw resources, because you can always use these to make into others by using your refiner workbench. You see, you can make mechanical components, durable cloth, pretty much anything you need from here, and whatever you can't get from here, you can get from Celeste. So that's why I try and stockpile on all of the raw resources that are kind of a necessity in this game. Workbench upgrades, I'll put a cheat sheet on screen for you now. Let me know if you guys would like a video on where to find certain items to upgrade your workbench. I know they can be quite tedious, but at the end of the day, it's a necessary evil. And I was quite upset when I did the expedition and all of my workbenches reset back to level 1. Another little tip that I have regarding your stash management is don't be scared to use your high tier weapons. I've learned in this game that none of the loot that you have is yours, it's just your turn with that loot. So I used to have very bad gear fear where I would never go in with any of my purple weapons and they would just sit in my stash gathering dust. I just found that there was no reward for them being in here. I've won a lot more fights with these weapons than what I have with most of these. So I'll normally upgrade a Tempest to level 4, go in, win a few fights, leave with some good goop. And if I go in with a free loadout and I kill someone that had a Tempest and I manage to extract with it, I'll go straight back in with that loadout that I came out with. It's just a general rule of thumb that I've come across, is that it's not your loot, it's just your turn with that loot. So skill tree is a very subjective part of the game at the moment. This is how my current skill tree works, and I must say I'm a little bit disappointed with it, but I've just been testing different things. At least this wipe, they allow you to reset your skill tree for a certain amount, 154,000 coins. I would like to test out a more PvP based skill tree where you take down but determined and turtle crawl, as well as while you're down you crawl faster. So when you're in trio lobbies and you get downed, you'll when you're down, it takes longer for you before you collapse. While down, you take less damage and you crawl faster. But generally, when you're starting out, you'll put 1 into Nimble Climber, 5 into Marathon Runner, 5 into Youthful Lungs, and then you can choose whether to go up the survival or the conditioning. Survival helps out a lot because you can search containers faster because your loot is revealed faster. Make less noise while looting, and when you're critically hurt, movement makes less noise. While under healing effects, stamina regeneration is increased. This is big. I just didn't have enough points to put into this. I decided to go when hurt stamina regenerates faster, because at the end of the day, if you run out of stamina, you're just a sitting duck. So yeah, let me know if you guys would like a few different skill trees for different base things. You know, you can have more of a looter type skill tree, which would go up to security breach, a more PvP based tree, which would be more movement involved. So yeah, it just depends on what type of player you are. And what type of experience you're looking at having in game. So audio in this game is insanely important. The first tip I will give to you guys about audio is in your settings, go to audio and switch on night mode. This makes the more softer sounds louder and the more louder sounds a bit softer, so it's a lot easier to hear arc being aggroed. It's a lot easier to hear footsteps, and it's a lot easier to hear like a shield recharger. So when your shield gets to full, there's a certain sound cue that you'll hear. Even you can hear bandages and anything that can really help you to find where your enemies are. And if I can also be honest with you guys, noise in this game, you want to make as minimal noise as possible. So when walking into a highly congested area, walking is generally a very good way to get yourself into the fight because people will hear you a lot less. So don't run unless you have to. Yeah, sprinting just gives away your position. Walking wins fights, and whoever hears first usually decides the engagement. Weapon upgrades is another big one. A level 1 weapon generally has a lot less impact as what a level 4 weapon would have. A level 4 weapon like the Venator would have a much higher firing rate and a much lower reload time than what a level 1 would have. So in this game, there's no real damage buff to any weapons by upgrading them. The only real buff you get with most weapon is, for instance, an increased firing rate on your Venator and a reduced reload time, an increased firing rate on the Renegade, and a reduced dispersion recovery time. So dispersion recovery time is the amount of time it takes for your gun to recover after shooting a bullet to be super accurate again. The Bettina is the same thing, increased firing rate, reduced reload time. Tempest is a reduced horizontal recoil and a reduced reload time. Volcano is also increased firing rate and reduced reload time. So it's all mainly around that. And also with the Pharaoh, for instance, one of the most highly recommendable guns I have if you're starting out. If you have a Pharaoh and you're looking at upgrading it, the reload time at level 4 is reduced by, I think it's 39%, which is a significant buff to the weapon considering that you have to reload after every shot. This gun will help you a lot with arc because your light weapons have a very low arc armor penetration, but it's very good against raiders. Medium weapons are kind of moderate. They are good at shooting raiders and decent at shooting arc, where heavy weapon is by far your best for when it comes to arc. In my opinion, the two best weapons that you could get sort of mid to late game is the Bettina and the Hull Cracker. Obviously the best you can get for arc is the Aphelion and the Jupiter, but those are legendary and very, very, very expensive to craft. A fully upgraded mid-tier gun outperforms an untouched high-tier weapon. That's a statement that I fully agree with. A fully decked out and tricked out Stitcher will fry anyone using a high-tier weapon that is level 1 with no attachments. So as you can see here, I've got some mods on this weapon. The range is increased, agility is increased, and the stability is increased just from me upgrading it to level 4. It's got a reduced horizontal recoil and a 50% reduced reload time. Plus it's got a nice big mag on it, so you'll be shooting all the time. Arc Raiders isn't about being fearless, it's about being informed, knowing where your enemies are, knowing which route to take, and knowing when to engage and when to disengage. Slow down, listen, and extract alive. If this guide helps you, leave a like, subscribe, and let me know what you want next. Solo, trios, money runs, loot runs, PvP breakdowns. Yeah. So thank you guys very much for staying to the end of the video. I'll have some videos up on the screen now of some PvP games and another beginner guide of some movement, ticks, and you know, just other things that will help you guys out a lot. Stay sharp, Raiders, and I'll see you in the next one.